the Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. In episode 116, join Naomie Thompson and learn how to attract the love of your life, overcome past relationship patterns, and believe in love again.
So learning how to feel, especially if you've been through something painful like a big divorce, a painful separation, infidelity, learning how to feel all of that is going to help you move forward so quickly. And learning how to feel is like feeling your emotions, feeling the pain you're going through, the sensations in your body, feeling what the relationship you want feels like. You know, how do I want to feel in the relationship I want? We can think in our head, oh, he needs to be financially secure, and I love a tall man, and I love someone who's university educated. We can have all those thoughts, but they are not going to get us the kind of relationship we want. So the first real key is like learning to feel, how do I want to feel?
Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to the Healing Through Love podcast, the space where stories of strength, resilience and transformation unfold. I'm your host, Rose Davidson, and I'm honoured to be your guide on this journey of empowering and healing. Today we have a special episode tailored just for you. Whether you're driving, sipping a cup of tea, or simply taking a moment for yourself, I want you to know that you are in a safe space. Healing Through Love is more than a podcast. It's a community, a beacon of hope, and a reminder that you are not alone. In this episode, we have a guest who will share a story that resonates with the core of our mission, a story that illuminates the power of love, resilience, and the unwavering strength that lies within each of us. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let the healing journey begin. But before we dive into today's inspiring conversation, a quick reminder. If you value our episodes, consider supporting us by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your engagement helps us to reach more hearts and spread the message of healing. And my guest today is Naomie Thompson, and she's going to be discussing with us how to attract the love of your life, even if you weren't looking for one. And Naomie has helped accomplished women dating after divorce or a lifetime of wrong relationships, and she's helped them to meet and marry the love of their lives. She has personal experience in rising above after infidelity in her marriage, divorce, and dating as a single mum in midlife, and now having the best relationship of her life. Naomie, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so tell me, we had heard in the introduction that, you know, you had some infidelity in your marriage and you're now divorced. So how, having survived that, how have you been able to attract the love of your life?
Well, I would say there's some really important, you know, whether or not we've all had kind of relationship ups and downs. We've all had rocky roads, whether or not these were through our teenage, whether it's in our 20s, whether it's in our 50s and 60s. For me, it was in my 40s. And I would say, as a woman, one of the most important things to do is to understand the difference between masculine and feminine energy. For some people, that'd be a completely new concept. They think masculine is manly, feminine is feminine, and that's it. But actually, something I work with is a concept that just blew my mind when I started learning about it. So masculine energy is about action, thinking, doing, problem solving. It's like nurturing. It's the energy we bring to mothering, bringing up our children. That's all about, we have to be in our head. We have to think ahead. We have to plan, strategize, work things out. Our feminine energy is about feeling instead of thinking, being instead of doing, receiving instead of giving. And what happens is in relationships, as it did in my marriage, and so many women I know, we feel that we think that we're going to get more love, and we think we're going to get attention and appreciation and praise by the things that we do. If I achieve well, we get good grades at school, we get applause, we get praise for that. The problems come when we start bringing that into our relationships, and when we start bringing that into our marriage. And so many women may relate to starting to sometimes feel like, I just feel like his mother, you know, and it's not your fault, and it's not his fault. Sometimes it is just a lack of understanding about the masculine and feminine polarity, and how important this isn't about being a 50s housewife and being submissive and passive. This is, you know, feminine energy is strong, and it's learning. And for me, it was learning, oh my goodness, am I constantly doing this? This will really help your listeners. Am I doing the ABCs? Am I advising him, suggesting things, planning things for him, booking his doctor's appointments? Am I doing all of the mothering things? The B, am I blaming him? If I'm not happy and dissatisfied about something, am I blaming him? And the C is criticizing. Am I constantly criticizing him, hoping that that will make him be better in some way? I mean, I cringe almost as I speak, because I can really recognize how I used to do that. So what I really say to women, one of the first steps to finding the love of your life might feel a bit unexpected, but as a woman, it's learning how to feel. Because when we've spent our life learning how to achieve, learning how to accomplish, learning how to do good things for other people, we are up in our head and we're up in our thinking. When we learn how to feel, we can be so much more connected to the people around us, because we're so much more connected to ourselves. So learning how to feel, especially if you've been through something painful like a big divorce, a painful separation, infidelity, learning how to feel all of that is going to help you move forward so quickly. And learning how to feel is like feeling your emotions, feeling the pain you're going through, the sensations in your body, feeling what the relationship you want feels like. You know, how do I want to feel in the relationship I want? We can think in our head, oh, he needs to be financially secure, and I love a tall man, and I love someone who's university educated. We can have all those thoughts, but they are not going to get us the kind of relationship we want. So the first real key is like learning to feel, how do I want to feel? I want to feel like I can breathe out. I want to feel safe knowing that he's not going anywhere, that he's committed to me. He wants a family, or he's a family man already, and we bring our families together. I want to feel sure that he's going to put me before going out to the pub or whatever it is, that actually he's committed and he's there. So, you know, I would say, and I know it's deep and we kind of dive in deep straight away, but actually it's profound. You know, when a woman just learns how to connect with her feelings, she's connected to herself and her real, true self. The first step I take my clients on is I say, you know, what is your desire vision? You know, dare to dream. Let's just say what it is you've really dreamed of since you were a little girl. But what we do is sometimes we think, oh no, I just need to settle for this. This is what my parents had. So actually learning, how do I want to feel in a relationship? So, you know, that would be the first way of healing through whatever you've been through in life, and the first step to getting the love you want.
It's really important, I think, is if that we acknowledge our feelings and that we project those feelings. I mean, positive feelings I'm talking about. And like attracts like. I think if you project those feelings, then you're going to receive those feelings back from whether it be a man or a woman. I mean,
Yeah,
we're not just talking about heterosexual relationships here.
of course.
So you've got to be true to yourself and know what you want. I think that's really important, and don't take second best, don't take less than you deserve.
Exactly. And there's a real difference between settling for and settling in. Settling, often we think we're settling for a relationship if for some of my clients, they go, he's got to be really tall, and they think they're settling if he's not tall. Or I would say settling, the true definition of that is when we settle for less than we want emotionally. So we've got a guy who or a partner who struggles with and is not willing to get any closer, to talk about things. Maybe they're unkind at times. They can be harsh and abrasive and unkind. Or they are regularly unfaithful, and they'll say they won't be, but they are. They lie. That to me is settling. When you've got someone in front of you who's really ready for a relationship, committed to you, really wants to make it work, they're kind, they're loving. That for me is how we need to learn to settle in. We need to learn to settle into that kind of relationship. And so many of us actually, when it comes down to it, are quite afraid of that. Our radar can be set for people who are a bit more unavailable, because on a deep level that feels safe. So it's the process of learning how to settle into a really safe, loving relationship. And especially if any of you have got to your 40s, even your late 30s, 40s, 50s, and you haven't found the relationship you want, maybe something to look at. Go, actually, I thought I knew my type, but maybe take on the idea that you don't know your type, and you're programmed to go for a different kind of partner, whereas then will meet your relational needs.
Yeah, I think that's really right. They've got to meet your emotional needs, and if they don't, then don't settle for that particular relationship just because they tick all the other boxes. Emotional stability is so important in any relationship, whether they be with the partner or with children, or children need to feel emotionally safe. And if you don't feel that in your adult relationship, then I think you are settling, and perhaps you haven't ticked that right box.
Yeah, exactly. It's crucial. It's like learning to be turned off the guys who you had high chemistry with and who you feel yourself kind of drawn towards, and then learning to be turned on to the steady, reliable, loving guy who can actually give you that safe, solid, loving relationship that, let's face it, I mean, I know, as you say, it may not be a guy, we're not just talking about heterosexual relationships, but it's knowing that your partner, at first, you may, anyone listening, if you're dating and you've had old patterns of going for the same kind of partner again and again, actually, you may find that the people who are really nice and great and loving, you may at the moment find them boring. And you may find yourself saying things like, oh, they're really nice, but I just feel like we're more like friends. Or they're really, such a nice person, but I'm just not feeling any chemistry. And that is the point where you can really heal. Dating can be a healing process where you learn how to be turned on to someone who is more solid, because chemistry feels exciting. but chemistry doesn't, very rarely grows to compatibility. Whereas when you start with compatibility, chemistry can grow. Doesn't always, but in a lot of cases, chemistry grows. And when you've got compatibility and chemistry, then you've struck gold. You've really struck gold.
Absolutely. Naomie, there's a point in especially when we get to our 30s, but I'm talking maybe 40s, 50s and 60s, when if you've been in a relationship or been married for a number of years, 20 or 30 years, and the marriage breaks up or the partnership breaks up, how can we then go out with confidence and attract that love of a life that maybe wasn't there in the first place with previous partner?
Okay, so the first thing to take on board is what I said about knowing what you want, and not just knowing what you want in your head with the tick boxes, but knowing how you want to feel in that relationship. And the next is dating like it's not your whole life. There's a word I love, and I think we all need to learn more how to be more stoic in life, but in relationships. And when you look at the marriages in your life that have really endured, the people you see, maybe there's friends who they've come through so much, in their lives, but they've stayed together. There will be stoicism present. And that also can start in the dating process. So I said to a client the other day, I said, could you try and see dating as like a side hustle that you're not going to give up on, but it's not your whole life. So the important thing here is to do things in your life that you love. And I know that sounds really obvious, but make sure you nurture your relationships with your friends. Make sure, you do the things you love. If you've been married and you found that you gave everything to your marriage, actually, what did you do before you married? Did you love playing tennis? Did you crochet? Did you just hike and love it? And did all of that go by the wayside? So what I'd say is rediscover and discover, new passions and hobbies, whatever that may be. Swimming in the ocean, anything that's going to get you connected with your senses, help you feel alive. Date your life. Date your life. Have a hot date with life. And the more you do that, and the more you do hang out with people, one step that I had very clearly for people recovering from infidelity was choose your allies. Choose the people around you. It's like, who am I hanging out with? Am I hanging out with people who are jaded with love, who are cynical about love, who've decided dating is awful? Or are you hanging out with people who are in great relationships? Are you hanging out with people who are on the same path as you and believe that it's possible? Because it's the latter are going to really help you with your beliefs and your mindset on dating, and they're going to help you not give up, having a community of people who are supporting you. So stoicism and sticking with it. So the one way that dating can be a side hustle, I mean, I would like a better phrase for it, but at the moment, that's what it is when you go on a first date, well, make sure first you've had a video call first, so you can really see that the person is who they say they are. You can really feel if there's some kind of connection. And then just meet for an hour, like have a coffee. There's dating coaches who'll say, no, don't accept a coffee on a first date and make sure you only get dinner. I would say, why do that? Why spend a whole evening with someone when you're meeting them for the first time? Have a coffee with them. Make sure you look good enough, but you don't have to put in a whole ton of effort with a new outfit and a full face of makeup, but just feel good in what you're wearing. And then tie that coffee in with going and doing your supermarket shopping after. I used to have my shopping bags in the car. I'd meet them for coffee. Lovely to meet you for an hour. And then I'd go shopping, because then dating becomes effortless. You're not spending tons of time on the dating apps. So there are kind of like some more deeper emotional things that you can do when you're dating and learning about you and learning how to feel your feelings and so on. But there are also some really just, nuts and bolts things that make it easy for you. Deciding how much time I'll give 20 minutes a day to the dating app. I'll turn off the notifications so my phone isn't pinging, getting me addicted to it. Right, few bit of swiping left, swiping right, replying to matches, then get on with your life. So, that's what I would say. People get burnt out with a process of dating that can be exhausting.
Absolutely, I agree.
Where they think they have to give so much time to it, whereas actually it's just keeping consistent, but not investing too much emotional and labor energy into it, but making sure you keep showing up and not taking it too seriously. You're serious about finding a partner, but if you're chatting with someone online and then he disappears, it's like, okay, next. He's just disqualified himself. That's okay. I'm not going to waste my emotional energy getting upset about it.
Yeah, I like the idea about going out for a coffee before you go on a dinner date, because there's nothing worse than sitting at a dinner date for 2 or 3 hours, and you have nothing to say. You're not compatible in any way, what shape or form, and you don't want to be rude and get up and walk out. So you endure the 3 hours, and you feel emotionally exhausted at the end of it, because it was such a letdown. So having a coffee for an hour or so, I think, is a great idea, because you can get the lay of the land sort of, and a feel for if that person is going to be worth a 3 hour dinner date.
Exactly. And you can get creative with dates. I mean, in during COVID times, when I would just go for walks with people, and when the coffee shops were open, you could just get a takeout coffee and sit on a bench by the river. And we would just walk. And so you really can. And shopping, I think I was looking for a present for someone, and someone wanted to meet me, and I said, well, I'm looking for a gift for my sister, you can come with me. And we just went around the shops. You just get a feel for a person, and that's what you're doing to start with, because otherwise what happens, as you said, you meet someone for 3 hours and then you think, I can't do that again. And the important thing here is, this is your precious life. And having a partner is a delight and adds to our lives. And I wouldn't want for anyone that just a few tweaks to your dating could actually change everything and go. Otherwise, you could, if you fed up with dating and burnt out, you could end up giving up on meeting the love of your life. Whereas actually just making a few simple changes to the way you date keeps you open to love and keeps you visible, so your partner can find you.
Absolutely, yes. Naomie, where can people find you if they want to take up your services or just find out more about what you do?
Yeah, they can find me at naomiethompson.com. Naomie is spelt sort of different from usual. It's NaomieThompson. And also, I do have a free gift for your listeners, and I've got a free audio training. It's the 5 keys to attract the love of your life. And it's so much of the foundation of what I learned, my process, and what I do. And I just love to say to women, is one of the most vital elements to attracting and keeping an incredible relationship is a mindset and a belief. And it's remembering that the relationship you want is the prize, not the man or the person in front of you that you've got all this chemistry with. They are not the prize. And so often we see them as they're the partner, they're the prize, I've got to find a way to get them. But actually, if you keep an eye on the relationship that you want, then that becomes your North Star.
Absolutely.
So the relationship you want is the prize, not the man.
Yeah. That's really a really good point. A lot of us look at the the person as the prize. But yeah, the relationship should be the prize, and you shouldn't give up yourself to make the relationship work, because you are half of that relationship, and so you should be able to shine just as brightly as the partner.
Exactly. And when we have that mindset, we're not so attached to whether it works out with one particular person. I've had clients who've spent the whole of their 30s pining after one person. They've missed their baby making years if they want a family. And they've been hoping and waiting that one person will show up for them. And it breaks my heart. Whereas when you keep your eyes on your prize, which is, this is the relationship I want, no matter how cute, no matter how much chemistry there is with different people, if they cannot show up for the relationship you want, then you're not going to invest in them. And that is so vital.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Now, listeners, if you want to follow Naomie, you can find her on YouTube, on her channel, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And the links will be in the show notes so that you can click on them and you can follow Naomie. And if your dating life is not as it should be, then reach out to her, and I'm sure she'll lead you in the right direction. Naomie, if you were to give some words of advice or some hint or tip to our listeners today, what might that be?
Oh gosh, what other hint or tip would I give you is really, the more self-aware you are, the more you grow as a person, the better your relationships will be. Just keep listening to this podcast. Just take in information from people. Get to know, yourself more, and get to understand your triggers, your patterns, and in a loving way. Wow, look how I learned to be throughout my childhood. Look what I saw my parents do, and wow, were they the beliefs I took on? And the more you become self-aware, the more emotionally intelligent you become, the happier and more harmonious your relationships are. And you don't have to spend a lot of money doing that. You can just listen to this podcast, follow my YouTube channel. There's so much free advice out there as well. So that would be one of my biggest tips.
Thank you for sharing that, Naomie. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to your advice today. I think if we all took a leaf out of your book and progressed ourselves and looked within ourselves and find that love that we should have for ourselves, we can always find that relationship that we're seeking, and make sure that the relationship is the prize and not the person.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time today, Naomie.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.